Welcome to Big Blend Radio, where we celebrate variety and how it adds spice to quality of life. Hey everybody, it is January 20th, 2024, and you're listening to the Big Daily Blend, and today we are celebrating Take a Walk Outdoors Day. This falls on January 20th every year, and you know we absolutely love this. Nancy and I on our Love Your Parks tour get to go on walks all across the country and around well, we don't walk across the country, but we have a friend who did. But we do get to go on walks. And sometimes, as you know, we are on our Love Your Parks tour. It's in a national park, a state park, sometimes a community park. And sometimes we're walking a dog because we pet sit as we travel too. So all I know is getting outside, no matter what the season, it feels good. Your body says thank you. The vitamin D is good. I know that from Dr. Norman Rosenthal, who was just on our show talking about seasonal affective disorder. So this, holiday falling in January is a good time to get outside, get some sunshine, especially if you can get out in the morning or afternoon and get that vitamin D. And, the other thing too is about being observant, the birds, the butterflies. Right now, Nancy and I are out in Joseph, Oregon. It's where Chief Joseph from the Nez Perce tribe is buried, and it's on that trail. So the thing is about walking right now is through snow, so I think we need snowshoes, but I will be doing a little bit of that tomorrow because, after all, it's a special day. We love walking so much that we have a Facebook group. It's #1HourWalk. And the reason we did this is as we traveled into national parks and started documenting them, we realized a lot of people thought, hey, if you're going in a national park, you need to be a, major athlete and be very athletic and buff and be able to go backpacking and all that, which is not true. And, there's many parks, like, for example, Sequoia National Park has the boardwalk trail that goes around Round Meadow. It's actually called the Big Trees Trail. It's like a boardwalk, though. It's accessible. If you're in a wheelchair, you can do it. If you're a mom pushing a stroller, you can do it. Many parks have walks that are for all levels of activity or accessibility. You just have to seek them out of where you're going. And our national parks definitely do. Most of them, actually, by their visitor center, have some kind of nature trail or something small and easy to do to give you kind of the lay of the land before you go on a big hike. Now, we do love a good hike. We like our champagne hikes, but I don't think that's what this holiday is about. But the other idea, we love to walk with dogs. Dogs show us so much about, when you walk a dog, they sniff things out that we may not have, thought about being interesting until you look at what the dog's sniffing. Now, sometimes we don't want to see that, but it is pretty cool to go walking with a dog, the pace, the awareness you have to have in case another dog comes around the corner, So it's also about being meditative in a way, being open and aware, getting fresh air. It's good just for all of your senses to get out there and take a walk. Maybe it's your neighborhood, so you can check out what your neighbor's doing in their garden and get some garden gossip. Maybe it's in a historic neighborhood or in the downtown district. I know that sometimes even malls, but we're talking about outdoors today. There's mall walkers out there. Maybe even on a lunch break, go for a walk and get some fresh air, and it'll help you get back to your work projects. But maybe we all have to get snowshoes at this point. Who knows? I do, in the show notes, I will be putting links to books and movies and things like that. But I also will put in, talking about walking the dog, a couple of short videos of fun with Lucy the dog up in the Appalachian area of Burnsville, North Carolina, out in the Pisgah National Forest. One of my favorite pet sits. We get to go walk in the forest every day and look for mushrooms. And, she likes to look out for groundhogs or woodchucks, whichever one you want to call it. And there's birds, there's hawks, there's ravens, that kind of thing. And it's, even out here in the snow, I hear an owl out where I am. So, there's ducks everywhere too, out here in Joseph, Oregon, in the snow. So anyway, 1 Hour Walk Facebook group. That link is also in the show notes. We'd love to have you join us. We're a small little group, and we like to just show, hey, we took a walk here. It's kind of supportive about getting, get those 10,000 steps in, right? But it's also like really cool to see the different places around the country and around the world. So, in a little bit, I'm going to air an excerpt from an interview with Dr. Jackie Ubani. She is on our shows all the time. She is a cardiologist and a board certified cardiologist and electrophysiologist, and also the author of Women and Heart Disease: A Real Story. And so we'll be playing an excerpt from an interview from about 2 or 3 years ago. It was in the middle of COVID, so you'll hear some remarks of that. But she talks about the importance of taking walks and how many minutes we need for our heart to have that activity, to get your heart rate up, and that cardio activity. So she talks about that. So stay tuned for that. And she also has a great article that I'll link to in the show notes again. So the quote of the day, I think, is really great, because sometimes when we think, I need to start walking, get my health going, and sometimes, we're at that point of like starting our New Year's challenges, or, all those rituals we have. Hey, we're going to do this year. And then halfway through, we're like, oh, oopsie. And it's right around this time, actually, January 20th. It's a good time when we start, breaking away from those resolutions. So here's a good memory. It's from Lao Tzu. It is: the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. It's really true. So have hope. Just enjoy the journey. And I think that's also part of a 1 hour walk, is to soak up the scenery, take those steps, enjoy it, breathe, enjoy. Song of the day. Well, you know what? We've got our friends, the Walkabout Band, and I know they've got new music out, and we'll have to get them back on a show. But they've got a song called Walking Boss. So I'm going to link that from YouTube and Spotify so you can take a listen to it. It's fun. Of course, there's so many songs. I should make a playlist. The Walk of Life, like Dire Straits, Walking the Dog, Aerosmith, all of those great songs out there. 500 Miles, of Proclaimers, right? Movies, whoo. Okay, there's a lot of that, especially about the Camino out in Europe. But there's the one I have not watched, so I'm putting it on here just inspired me to go and watch it. It's a 2014 movie called Wild. So it was done 10 years ago. And it's about one woman's 1,100-mile solo hike to kind of recover from her mom's loss. We're a mother-daughter team. So this kind of hits home. Nancy's alive. She's alive and willing. But it's Laura Dern was the mom. And then Reese Witherspoon acts as the daughter. And she was kind of going a little berserk, and some destructive habits, let's put it that way. And she decided to go and hike the Pacific Crest Trail, and so that's what the movie's about. So I'm looking forward to watching that. And speaking of the Pacific Crest Trail, our late and great friend Jim Ostick has hiked that and has written a book called Walks Far Man, In Step with History on the Pacific Crest Trail. So there's so many books about the Pacific Crest Trail, and it really goes from, the border of Mexico in Southern California, El Campo area, or Campo, not El Campo, Campo, all the way up to the border of Canada. And we've actually hiked parts of it. We've lived on parts of it. And, but his book isn't about this is what you need to pack and this trail, that trail, parts of that trail. And a lot of people will do it. Some people do it all the way through in one big swoop. Some people do it in chunks through hikers, and there's all kinds of, terms and everything. We're not one of those who are going to go for, 1,100-mile walking, but he's about the Native American heritage of the places that you're walking on this trail. So we started doing a podcast series, and he's also got articles that I'm going to be linking all of this again, talking about how he walked. He was a retired earth sciences teacher, and in his late 60s, he walked across the country loosely following the American Discovery Trail. And so he wrote a book on that called Palomino Nation, My 2016 Crazy Ass Walk Across America. So I got to put all that information in there because it's a good read, number one. He also wrote a book because he's the author of Palomino and the Dream Machine, a retired dude's bicycle tour around the lower 48 United States. I know that he loves this holiday, January 20th, so kind of want to dedicate this show to him because, when you go for a walk, he's one of those. He likes to go on his own. He has his friends here and there, but it's really a spiritual thing for him. It is. Walking is meditative. It feels good to be more connected with your surroundings. So, anyway, links to that are in the show notes. Once again, my other book of the day. This is a biggie. Is all about Grandma Gatewood. Grandma Gatewood. It's Emma Rowena Gatewood. She's known as Grandma Gatewood. She was a hiking pioneer. She was a farm wife. She was a mom to 11 kids. She survived domestic violence. And she was the very first solo female through hiker on the Appalachian Trail. That was back in 1955. The Appalachian Trail is 2,168 miles through all kinds of terrain. And guess how old she was when she did that? 67 years old. And she said to them, her family, she's like, I'm going for a walk. And she did, literally. And she left. She had like one change of clothes, I think less than a couple $100. And she just started going and she did it. And she got to the top of Maine and sang America the Beautiful and said, I said, I'll do it. And I've done it. So there's a book, and this was written by Ben Montgomery. Um, Ben is a journalist, and he interviewed all this, like as many surviving family members as he could find, and hikers that Gatewood met on the trail. And he found, he dug into newspaper clippings, magazine stories, and diaries, trail journals, all of that kind of what he could get. And he wrote her basically her biography. And so we did an interview with him a few years ago on his book, which is called Grandma Gatewood's Walk, excuse me, Grandma Gatewood's Walk, the inspiring story of the woman who saved the Appalachian Trail. She really was a conservationist too, and she did shine the light on trying to preserve this trail and its habitat. So link is in the show notes for that. Okay, so I think let's see. We got the movie, we got the music, we did it all. We got it. So I hope you come join us on the Facebook group. Come have some walking fun with us. And now we're going to turn to Dr. Jackie Obani again. I think it was recorded back in 2021. I've got a great article for her in the show notes. And I encourage you to go to her website, womenandheartdiseasebook.com. She wrote this because she wanted to remind people that heart disease remains the number one killer of women in the United States, killing more women than breast and lung cancer combined. And she's all about trying to help us to get back into a healthy lifestyle. Have fun with it, like go for a walk. You don't have to be like freaking out at the treadmill unless that's what you like. But take a listen to it was a fun conversation with her. And she also talks about, because it was during COVID, and of course, COVID's still around, about what happens if you have COVID and getting back on the trail or getting back into exercise, precautions to take and things like that. So keep up with her at womenandheartdiseasebook.com. Enjoy the interview. Take care and happy walking.
It's very important to exercise. Exercising is always good for the heart. It has a lot of beneficial effects on the whole body. It improves your blood pressure. It improves blood flow, circulation. It decreases your cholesterol. So a lot of beneficial effects. So it's very important that you go out there and you walk or exercise and do some kind of aerobic activity. Get your heart rate up a little bit. For heart health, they just recommend 150 minutes a week of physical activity. That's just 2.5 hours. That's not long at all. That's, the amount of time it would take you to watch a movie. So, yeah, a week. And it's just, moderate. Or if you want to do something vigorous, they recommend just 75 minutes a week. But, of course, people are at different physical levels.
Yeah.
So if you're not quite at the level to be exercising for 150 minutes, you start slow and you build up to that. But if you're someone who exercises all the time, then you can do more, so you can just adjust it to your physical capacity level. You don't have to just do 150 minutes, but you can do more. But that's the minimum required for heart health. Once you slowly build up your stamina and you can do more than 150 minutes, then by all means do more than 150 minutes.
How do you know, when someone has heart disease, I mean, obviously you've got doctors and therapists, but sometimes from our experience in times and other people we know going through the medical system, especially now, it's really difficult with COVID going on. Um, I could tell you, I mean, I know you know all the stories of people not getting the care that they would really need because the hospitals are packed. It's not funny what's going on. And so someone has, heart disease or a heart attack and then getting into this therapy mode and trying to now get back outside or trying to work and like walk and do things. Like, how do you know, like, this is too much or should I push myself further? You watch these TV shows where they push people where they're barfing. Yeah. I always wondered about that. You know what I mean?
No,
they're barfing because they're pushing them to do this extreme stuff. And I'm going, is that healthy or not? Like, honestly, where are we on that of like, where do we go? Okay.
I know.
Where am I being a baby and where should I like push myself? Basically.
Well, definitely, if you have a lot of medical problems, or if you have a lot of a heart condition, and you haven't exercised for a long time, you definitely should start slow when you decide that you want to go on to exercise. Maybe you start walking first. Just start slow. Maybe doing 30 minutes a day. Just walk. 1 block and increase it to 2 blocks. So just start slow, and your body will really let you know when you can, do more, because you can feel like you can do more. Just listen to your body as you're, slowly exercising. But if you want to do something more vigorous, like, joining an aerobics class at Nifty after 50 or something like that, if you want to do something regimented, you probably should talk to your doctor first, and he can make a recommendation whether or not you are fit or your heart is healthy enough to do something a little bit more vigorous,
Why are we barfing then? Why are we doing the barf thing from the physical exercise? What's the barfing? Why are people barfing over physical exertion of exercise?
They're throwing up.
They throw up. Why are they barfing?
Well, you're overexerting. You're overexerting yourself. Just like with anything, moderation. You do things in moderation. Once you start going beyond moderation, it's not necessarily good. So there are many reasons why people, throw up. Maybe you're just not feeling well, or you're overly exerting yourself is usually the reason. And you're not feeling well, you didn't eat enough the night before or something like that. But yeah, if you overly exert yourself, then that can potentially happen. Because your body is telling you that that's too much physical activity.
Yeah, like sometimes when you go into high altitudes, you get a little dizzy. And you need to slow down. Like I've been on hikes where people, they just keep going. I'm like, whoa, dude, I'm going to slow down because I feel dizzy, and I know if I keep pushing myself, then I'm going to throw up, and I'm not going to throw up because it's not necessary.
No tossing of the cookies.
No, just you slow down and take your time.
Yeah.
So your body can adjust, and everybody's
She's
body's
talking
different.
to me, Dr. Jackie, right now. She's talking right at me. I know. It's in a different room.
She's take your time. You're a little older than you think you are.
See, but that's the thing. I mean, and doesn't it also, everybody's different, and we kind of got to understand that going out hiking, everybody's at a different level. And I always believe in the buddy system, that if someone's slower than you, you need to slow down because anything can happen, rattlesnakes or falling in a ravine, so that buddy system has to be in check. And
there's hiking,
push someone.
And then there's hiking, and then the people who think a hike is a march.
Yeah,
and
but that's
I'm not
okay.
Into
but then
that.
But
I'm not into that. If I like a hike where you can stop and commune with nature and watch a bird and watch an animal. I'm not into how fast can we go up the mountain. I really don't care. I have never cared about that. Never will. I really am there to look at the nature. So when you feel like you're going to barf, that means you haven't stopped and looked at the nature. You're doing the how fast can I hike?
And some people, that's their thing, and that's fine. The park systems are all developed for that. You can go and do your run up the thing and barf or not barf, or be like Nancy and say, I'm going to sit here, and when I get to the top of the mountain, I'm going to have my 5 ounces of wine. Thank you very much, and I'll roll down the hill afterwards. but let's talk about that. Heart disease. If you have heart disease, you need to get out there and be. You need to have that energy. So when people go out and say, okay, I'm going to go on the trail, water, things like that are important.
Water's good.
You've been on the show, Dr. Jackie, talking about diabetes and that link to heart disease. So if you're going on the trail, do you have to be doubly careful if you have diabetes and heart disease?
Well, yeah, so it depends because, hiking is actually pretty vigorous physical activity. I just wouldn't recommend that someone who's never exercised in a long time with heart disease to just, go ahead and just start hiking. Maybe you should, try to build your stamina to that point, or talk to your doctor first and make sure you're cleared for something like that. So hiking is pretty tough exercising. It's considered vigorous exercising. But yeah, definitely, if you feel like you can hike, if you've done it before and you like hiking, definitely it's a good idea to do it, stay well hydrated, like you said. And you should be fine. Exercising is always good for the heart, and that's a good way to get your exercise in, to meet your requirements by the American Heart Association.
There's hikes and there's hikes. Like sometimes a hike can be flat, so you're not going up hills, and then there's hikes where you're going up mountains, and you're like, whoa.
I didn't know the easy ones.
Exactly.
Yeah. Most
I have to tell you the
story.
I have to tell you the story. When I went to Madagascar, we went to one of the national forests.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty physically active person. I exercise all the time. Yeah. And before we went on this tour, they told us, there's going to be a lot of, hiking, or there's going to be a lot of, hills and stuff that if you don't exercise much, if you don't do moderate physical activity, you probably won't be able to do it. And I said, oh, please, I could do this. I'm young, I exercise, I can do this. And let me tell you how many times I made them stop as we were going through this park. It was a lot tougher than I thought it would be. And, I learned my lesson.
Well, because
that's interesting.
No, but the standards in different countries, I learned that first off. Like the first time I went to Kenya, and they're like, "Oh, you could do this." I'm like, "Yeah, I could do that." I'm like, no, it's because what they call a hike in Kenya is not what they call a hike here. No,
I had a friend in Encinitas when we first started the magazine. She had a store, and her and her husband were importing things from Mexico. They were, avid surfers. Like, this woman was buff. Like, there's no way. I mean, I just have one of those bodies. It'll never be. Like, that's it. I'll be healthy. I can pick anything up, open any jar you want. I'm like, I can take our suitcases to the top of any Victorian bed and breakfast with whatever. I mean, I can do all that. I'm strong. However, this woman was buff. She's a surfer chick. She's got it. She hikes. She's like, I can do this, that, I'm like, good for you. She went to Machu Picchu and about died. She did the Machu Picchu hike, and what happened to her is she had her period while she was on the Machu Picchu thing and the altitude thing, and that dehydrated her to a point. And then they have weird bathrooms, like it's not like what we have in America. You're standing over a hole kind of bathroom thing. No, she was in cramps. She was like, they're going to take her down the mountain with guys taking her down and carrying her. It was like a mess. And I'm looking there going, you're the epitome of what my body wants to be, but now I don't want to do that. I'm looking there going, are you serious? Like you went to Machu Picchu and this is your experience, and then I know people
Oh, it's
that are
sad.
overweight
That's
and
sad.
made it, and we're fine. I'm like, what is this? What
No,
is
that's
this?
sad.
How did this happen?
Yeah.
Sad.
And that's something I wonder, like, we've got to kind of understand our body. When you said about listen to our body, I think that's so
Mm-hmm.
really important.
Yeah.
If it's that time of month, know
Yes.
your body's dehydrated. You got to drink more.
No, yeah.
Water, not
Exactly.
wine.
And then you become anemic, and the oxygen level up there is low. It's just just a combination that's just going to lead to badness.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's really true just to listen to yourself. Like, like, I don't want to do this, but all your friends want to, and they're like, come on. You're like, no, really? Yeah, I'm going to be the stupid person on the hike that
Right, exactly.
that ruins it for everybody else. So just calmly say, you know what? I have an emergency. Bye.
Oh, no, you got to, it's important. I think the buddy system is very important when you hike, especially as women. The buddy system is crucial. Dr. Jackie, cycling or walking or swimming? What
either one?
What's
I think
the best?
the whole idea is just to get your heart rate up. So it doesn't matter what you do.
Okay.
Because some people don't want to run because their knees hurt, and they much rather cycle. So whatever you like to do, as long as you can get your heart rate up.
Swimming's the best because there's
swimming is good.
Yeah,
it's good
really
because
good because there's no like repeated like banging your feet on concrete
to your joints. Yeah, exactly.
Swimming's the best. I love it.
Exactly.
Right now,
and so
that
would be good for.
Go ahead.
I was going to say for me, because I used to be a runner when I was much younger in the Navy. I loved to run. I used to run 5 to 6 miles a day.
Oh, dang!
And now my knees, knees hurt, and so I can't do that anymore. So something like swimming would be good because it takes the pressure off of joints. And I can do my physical activity without worrying about injury to my joints.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to. My next thing, I know we're going to go because we're on time here, but there are people that are very super active, strong. You've talked on shows before about also being careful, even though you're fit. If you've had a history of drugs, even COVID, if you've had COVID, if you've caught the virus, going back out and being physical. Can you talk on that? Like, especially on the COVID side, if you've had COVID and now you're going to go back into rock climbing or doing all these things that you've done before, don't you have to be careful a little bit more? Because from what I've heard is everyone's chest, and I've also heard that cannabis oil helps your chest. Uh-oh. I just saw it on Facebook.
On cannabis by
I'm
long
just saying.
Oh, that's funny. Wishful thinking.
I just saw it on Facebook. I thought I'd bring it up.
So we're slowly starting to find out that after you have a COVID infection, you can have some lingering cardiac effects. We see these lingering cardiac effects usually in people who've had more severe forms of COVID. So people who've been hospitalized, who've had the pneumonia or, heart problems while in the hospital or being intubated. So if you've had more moderate to severe episodes of COVID, you should definitely be very careful when you finally recover before you go back into rigorous physical activity. You should definitely talk to your doctor about being screened prior to doing that. A lot of things about COVID we don't know, but, over the years we will find out. But we are starting to see that there can be long-term heart damage as a result of COVID. So COVID is really not as benign as a lot of people think, you know, but we'll learn more as time goes on.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So people
be careful.
Just be cautious. Don't go crazy.
Take it step by step. Listen, 1 hour walk.
Common
to me,
sense.
if you can do that, like we talked about that, 150 minutes, 2 1 hour walks a week. you're good. And it could be your neighborhood.
Yes.
It could be in a park, your community park, a national park, whatever. It just feels good. Like, to me,
it does.
I don't care how cold it is. It just, you feel like the joys of spring. You know, it just.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio. Keep up with our shows at bigblendradio.com.